You know, it's always nice when it feels like spring. And I'll be honest, today is the first day. Now it's not spring yet. It's only the end of February. But it's the first day it felt like spring. The sun, it's 6:30 and the sun's just going down. It's warm out. What's the temperature? 44 degrees right now as I head into Northfield. And it just dawned on me as I looked at the clock, 6:36. I start the 5th. A little tight for time. But I'll get there. I'll get there before the 5th race. I'll get there. We don't start till the 10th race. I know PL Jericho's in tonight, I think. Jason said. And who else in tonight? Tenacious Hanover's in tonight. Cadeau. I'll bring you an update tomorrow unless they race out of their skin or... No, that'll be the only way you're getting an update tonight. Is if they race very, very good. I suspect Cadeau will race fine. Tenacious Hanover might be a little short. But I expect good miles from both of them tonight. We'll see how that goes. Now, the reason for my video, I did mean to make you a video on the way home. We had a busy day. A busy day and a very busy week coming up. 6 horses will be listed to qualify on Thursday morning. Now, I did the quick math. I appreciate all the help from the Meadow staff in, as I said, I'm sure they didn't just do it for me, but I'm going to pretend they did. They moved the Open to race 6, Mounds for All's race 5. My first stripe is race 5. Now, race 5 should go around 2 o'clock. That means if I leave Northfield Park at 11:45, I will get there 20 minutes before race 5. Now, that's close, and in Ontario, you'd be taking off your horse, but at the Meadows, they just assume that you're going to be there to drive your horses and that you'll sign in on time. Now, if you're late, they might ding you with a fine, but, with all the running around I do and a lot of the people do, they're usually pretty amenable in that regard, and I appreciate that immensely also as somebody who does run around a lot and drive in a number of places. Today, now, I had a number of horses I've been training, and those training miles spilled into today, which takes them off the board for tomorrow. I was out, I told you that Joe J. Fotag was going to work hard this week. She trained a slow mile yesterday, and I happened to be out with her gear on again today. And Peter Otten, Jess and Jenna's dad, was out with one of his babies. It looked like, I'm pretty sure I saw a stopwatch in his hand. And I said, "Hey, Pete, are you training?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "You want some company?" Absolutely, that'd be great. So Joe J did a little daily double this week. She trained on Monday and on Tuesday. And normally I don't do that. Obviously, that can be a little hard on them. But this was going to be a heavy lifting week for her, and she didn't train today. She was definitely going to train tomorrow. But I was happy with the way she trained today, too. A very insightful training mile. I got to see what she was doing and was not doing. And actually, if I'm going to be completely honest, she really impressed me today. She did. Now, Hanger 1. I thought a lot about Hanger 1 over the last week. And he can get a little excitable, and it usually starts to get triggered in the first lap when we're going that jogging lap, right? He gets excitable. Not gone yet. And if you have watched Hanger 1, you know that the way he carries his head. Now, we've put an aggressive overcheck bit on him to keep his head out a little bit, but he still likes to get it in. And when horses get their head in and you're got any sort of hold on them, some of them it doesn't matter. Other horses, some of them you can take a big hold, it's not a big deal. Other ones you take a little bit of hold and you can hear a little rattle, as they say, making a little noise. Now, I haven't heard that with Hanger 1, but Eric went with him the other day and said he thought he did. So I'd asked him, how was he? Pretty rambunctious in the first lap. And I think that's where our trouble starts, right? Now, I truly believe he has to work at it and work at it and work at it, but there might be another way to go about it, right? Maybe we can ease him into that so that his comfort level arrives as we're teaching him, maybe even a little bit before we're teaching him to use it, and be a little patient in the first lap. Now I'm going to tell you exactly what I mean by that. So that slow mile, he gets wound up, he gets a little grabby, and I believe he was shutting his air off a little bit. It's not uncommon for some horses, especially the ones that are a little warm to the touch, as they say. So my thought was, well, I don't want to stop training him that way. I don't want to allow him not to get the full benefit of training. So what do we do? Well, what if we just take away that slower lap for a little bit? So what I did today, and I felt that he was frustrated between the speeds of 235 and 240, right? He just felt like that transition, even 230, 235 or 6 to 242, 243, in that transition, you would go a half in 123 and go a last half in 18, 17, 16, 15, wherever you want to go. The last lap, he was really good. The first lap, a little less good, and that, I believe, was even predicated by the first lap, which was slow. So is there something we can do to fix that? Well, we had 3-year-olds training in 230 today, and I wanted to see if it was just that speed bracket, so to speak, he was struggling with. And the reason I believe he could struggle with that is because he may be interfering at that speed. And as you speed him up and he stretches out a little bit, maybe he's not interfering as bad or at all anymore, because his gait is a million times better than it was. I actually like how we have him hung up. I like how his gait is. And when he's going at that faster speed, he's very amenable. He's very flexible, malleable. He'll allow you to grab him a little bit. He'll sit. He'll behave. You can roll up on a helmet. You can see him drop his head into the head check a little bit. Just relax. So Jason was out with Mounds for All. Jason had Mountaineer Prince, who's schooling on Thursday. And Mounds for All was training in preparation before he leaves. I think he left this afternoon to go to Tim at the Meadows. So I said, do me a favor, I'm going to train this colt with you. Do not, under any circumstances, beat 230. Please. It's a little quicker than I'd like to be going this time of year, but it seems like that's where he wants to be. That's where his comfort level lies right now. I said, I'm going to jog quite a little bit quicker the first lap by himself, just to thaw him out a little bit. We've already jogged 2 miles, 2.5 miles. I said, I'm going to jog the first lap. You guys pick me up, turn in front of me, and then I'll catch up, and we'll go 1:30. That's exactly what we did. We went out. I went around with him. We went 1:2:31. And he was quiet the whole way. I sat third the whole way behind the two colts. I moved him out to the head of the lane, and he came screaming by them. Now, Mounts for All got up the inside. I think he might have picked me at the wire, but I mean, he raced last week. And Hanger won. I wasn't asking. I was just sitting on him. And he came screaming by Mountaineer Prince by half a length, and he's a competitive colt. But at that point, I didn't need to let him keep going. I just kind of set him in idle and let him trot through. I was thoroughly pleased with what I saw from him today. Now, I'm being completely honest with everybody. I did go 1:2:31, which is a little bit quicker than I'd like to go this time of year. But quite frankly, it only goes back to what I always tell you guys. I treat every horse on a case-by-case basis. And this particular horse, to me, did not seem to like training between 236 and 242. At least in that set mentality. It just seemed to frustrate him. And that first lap, quite frankly, may have soured him on the next two. It may have threw him off kilter. These are very personal animals. They're not all mentally strong. We'd like to see them get that way. They don't all start out that way. For me, I just thought that this would suit him better. Specifically him better. And I'm happy to report I think it did. Came in off the track, he was happy, he was playful, he ate all his lunch, he felt great. He certainly didn't feel tired, to me. And the biggest takeaway of all was, he trained awesome. So that is how my day started. J. Fotag trained with Pete, and trained very good. By far the best training mile of her life. I think we still have a few little changes to make with J. Fotag, but I was thoroughly pleased. Now, most importantly, she's got to jog tomorrow. I want to see how she jogs. This is after 2 days of training. I don't often do that, But as I said to you, I was not pleased with the way she was behaving. I wasn't pleased with her output. And she just needed some work. These are athletes. They need to work. You fall in a funk, work. It's just the way it is with babies. Unless there's something wrong. This horse starts getting on the line and getting sore. Well, work's not going to help you then. So I was thoroughly pleased with Joe J. Fotag Hanger One. I did end up going a mile with Lauren and Logan and Paul in 2:43 with AC/DC. He was good. Another very telling mile. Not so much AC/DC. He was good, but he get out of gear down the lane, which he's never done before. And the one thing I noticed was he's got a big splint right front that looks like it's bothering him. Dr. Tessa has about 5 or 6 horses splints to cryo in the barn this week at some point. Now, the most revealing thing was I noticed another horse make some very similar breaks to the one that AC/DC almost made today. Now, I was able to hold them together through the stretch, put them back on gate, and let them pace through the wire. But the one horse I noticed does the same thing, in the same way, in the same manner, Solidarity, who also has 2 big splints up front. Now, splints aren't the problem. The small amount of pain that can come with them, well, it is. And he really has started making those breaks, especially at speed, since we put corks on him. He made breaks as a baby, just before he was gated properly. But when the corks went on that horse is when he really feel like he'd want to go right up into top gear. He's got this beautiful fluid gait, and then all of a sudden, he just come unglued. You just tip over. Make a break. In the same manner that I almost saw AC/DC make one take. Who never makes one. Big splints up front. So I suspect we've been looking, we did a full veterinarian assessment from Dr. Tessa, ultrasound, if he thought I don't think he used the ultrasound, but X-ray, anywhere he wanted to look on Solidarity, and he found nothing last week. He's not on a line. He's not on a shaft. Wasn't his feet, because he went from flip-flops to normal shoes. There's no difference in the winter. So mechanically speaking, a bit of a mystery. I think we might have the culprit in hand. Now, the only reason you may say to yourself, why didn't you just do the splints to begin with? Well, Dr. Tessa and myself, and you flexed them, palpated those splints, they didn't really seem to bother him that much. But we don't know how much they bother him going a quarter in 38 seconds, 37 seconds. I have no idea. And he wasn't talking. So I think the culprit might be a little more obvious than we think. Not quite as sinister as we thought it might be. So we'll cryo those splints up also now. Solidarity will train tomorrow without cryo. But I would like, in a perfect world, either Saturday after training or first of the week, cryo those splints up on a number of horses. We have, I think, 5 or 6 in the barn that need cryo. So that was 13 minutes, but you know what? I think a very important 13 minutes, explaining 3 different issues with 3 different horses and how we tried to remedy all 3 of them. And I think all 3 of them were, or are, or will be in the near future remedied. So who else trained today? Aunt Lily trained good. I told you we were backing her off a little bit. I know Jason thought she trained awesome today, and he said, she feels great. I know. I went with her the other day. Now it was snowy. I'll give her that. She has flip-flops on. But I felt that she was just a tick behind where we'd hoped she'd be. There's nothing wrong with that. It's a big, strong filly. She's already well accomplished. I just thought that maybe she needed another week or 2. So we backed her up. We'll maybe put her in the race bike, go mile in 2.8, while the other ones are going in 2.2, 2.3 on Saturday. But very happy with what I saw from her. And Jason was very happy with what he saw from her today. Captain Incredible. Eric was happy with him today, too. I think we'll probably go a little stiffer mile with him on Friday. I'll go with him in the morning. Probably look to go 2:25 speed with him at 1.5 miles. We'll see how he feels. He's had a pretty easy 2 weeks. He was sick a little bit, and then the weather kind of caught the track wrong. It's not a big deal. We'll get Captain Incredible, I'd say 2:22, 2:25 on Saturday. Dancing by Myself looked very good. A little strong in the face, but trotting great. Very, very good. Now, I hope, this is my hope, is that we look back on the time he spent in Ontario and look at it on paper and say it was wasted. But he did come back better. This horse could not trot around this track the way he trotted around there today. And I know that line the other day, just throw it out. Clearly, it was the racetrack and not the horse. Lost a shoe, and very little cork on. The track was deep and icy and snowy. All the races went 4 or 5 seconds slower than they were going. Just pitch it. Jason was very happy with the way he trained today, and I saw him go, and he looked very, very good. Gaslight Hall looked good, but he's still only in that 230 speed. As I said to Jason, just slow miles, get work into him. The track's hard at all. Now, it's not now, but it was last week. Put him in the aqua treadmill. That's a water exercise machine over in the building beside our barn. If you've ever been to Northfield, that's Dr. Latessa's clinic. He has an aqua treadmill in there. And then I trained Grand Old Chappie. He was good, but if I'm going to be completely honest, I thought not quite as good as he was 2 weeks ago when I trained him. Now, he did just get shod 2 days ago, so that may be the culprit right there. When he was trotting good. He did make a couple of breaks today, but these are trotting breaks. These weren't Grand Old Chap just fall apart breaks. These were just, hey, your trotter made a break. So I would find him better than I've seen him, but as I said, if I was going to be completely honest, I thought he was a little bit better 2 weeks ago. And Memento Mori trained great. We'll probably go a mile and 2:10 with him to the jog cart on, I guess, Friday. Today's Tuesday. 3-year-olds will go Friday. I have to check the weather. In a perfect world, 3-year-olds will go Friday, and 2-year-olds will go on Saturday. That's the plan. Now, we get some qualifiers, we get some schoolers. I'll tell you about the ones that are going in the race bike this week that have not qualified. We have a schooler from Mountaineer Prince coming up on Thursday. They'll be schooling with one of the Jasons. They finally fixed that bump. Good for them. Arrowhead Hanover, I'm going to go a mile about 2.2, 2.3 with Arrowhead Hanover. Again, depending how the track is, I suspect it'll be good. He's been good. Amy went a mile and 2.5. First over 2.5 last half in a minute. A freezing cold day the other day. I'm going to go a mile and 2.2, come a half in like 58, and then we're going to see how he feels. I suspect that doesn't mean he's qualifying right away. Probably that 2.2 mile will lead to a mile and a half next week. We'll go on the race bike, back him up in 2.4, 2.5, and what I would expect is that he'd feel like the Hulk. He'd feel very, very strong in 2.4, 2.5. If he can do that, then he's ready to rock. Freedom Hill, gorgeous package. I'd say 2.1, 2 minutes with gorgeous package. Freedom Hill, same thing, 2.3, 2.4, somewhere around there, and see how they feel. Now, the whole point of this is not to stretch them out in the race bike this week, but more to get a feel of how they are in their training. They come off the track and they're not blowing. They eat their lunch, they feel great, they jog good the next day. Well, on Monday, I guess. Then that would be mission accomplished. If they're biting a line, they're over on the shaft, either on Saturday or on Monday. Well, you have to do a little investigating. That's where Dr. Tessa would come in and have a look. I don't think there's anything serious. I'm very happy with the way our sophomores are coming back. They're not all perfect, yes. We had 2 or 3 or 4 leave over the last week, and we're going to have another 1 or 2 or 3 leave also. And I suspect the timing would make the most sense from the leave before the 15th, before we have to start making stake payments on them. But on the whole, when you look at the whole roster of sophomores, hey Anthony, how would you think they would come back? I haven't been disappointed. Was I disappointed that High Hopes didn't turn out? No. I hoped she would. She didn't. But I think on a different level, but similarly skeptical, that Foxy would come back as good as she did. Useful horse? Yeah, I hope so. Nice filly? Could be a really nice filly? That one shocked me a bit. And of course, Country Dancing. I didn't love the way she trained down. Certainly looked like a monster the other day. Now, on the topic of Country Dancing, unfortunately, her and Foxy Seaside fit the same class. Now, Country Dancing has the Dunn Memorial Stake coming up at the Meadows, and my answer to my partners on Country Dancing was simple. We'll probably just leave her at Mohawk. They race for similar money, and I like the way she's trending. Until I saw that they did not split the class, and she did not get in Friday at Mohawk. She will have her papers drawn, and she will race in the Dunn next week. In a perfect world, probably schooler Friday at Mohawk in 59. And then that's 5 days out for after the done, she'll be tight and ready to rock. She's already winning 53 at the Meadows, so I don't suspect there'll be a huge issue with the transition from Mohawk to the Meadows, but we'll see. That's the plan with her. But other than that, very happy with the way some of these, most of these, I'll put it this way, I haven't been negatively surprised yet by any one of our sophomores coming back. Unfortunately, the ones we had question marks around, we had concerns about, some of them did not come back good. That's just the nature of this industry. But every time we get surprised by one or two, it makes it all worthwhile. And I have this discussion with people all the time. Why don't you just take a look? Here's the line. Those ones that aren't doing it at 2, get rid of them. No, I don't buy into that. I'm sorry. And if that was the case, Time Is On My Side would not have been in our barn at 3. Because he was an extraordinary, and I'm not saying extraordinary, extraordinary horse at 2. James did not think very highly of him after his 2-year-old season. Now we castrated him, turned him out, he come back, and the way we managed him is the reason that we're racing our horses the way that we are right now. I've talked about this ad nauseum with you guys. This is the reason that some of these horses are getting ready right now, is because it's similar to the trajectory that we had Time Is On My Side on. It's a bit unorthodox. It worked very well for him, and I would love to have it be the norm at our barn, quite frankly. So I've been happy with the way the sophomores have come back. Now, qualifying this week, we talked about the Schooler, Mountaineer Prince, Arrowhead, Hanover, Freedom Hill, Gorgeous Package. We'll all train hard this week, whether it be Friday or Saturday. Qualifying on Thursday morning. It's going to be a tight schedule. I can't go with all of them. It's impossible. I am going to go with Grand Slam Dio, and I am going to go with Melisandre. Melisandre had a little heat in her right hind ankle today. Dr. Tessa was going to look at her tomorrow. I'm pretty sure it's nothing. But anytime you're dealing with young horses and hind legs, be careful. And it's probably nothing. She probably banged it or maybe hit it training the other day. I would say it's likely nothing, but I am going to make sure it gets looked at. He said he'd come and look at her tomorrow, but as I said, I'm not too concerned about it right now. So my want list, I want to go with Grand Slam Dio. I will go with Grand Slam Dio. I want to go with Melisandre. I want to go with Westland Warrior. Gymboree, Fire and Shine, Admiral Dio. Anybody can go with those horses. They're ready to rock. Gymboree won a mile in 2-4 the other day and showed a little bit of blood. Gymboree won a mile in 2-4 the other day, showed a little bit of blood. Not a big deal. Admiral Dio, we know what happened with him last week. We've jogged him all week. He's good. He was a little bit weak. Sweated up really easy. Jason said his next 2 or 3 days. We did jog him, not the next day, but the day after. We wanted to listen to his heart. We've listened to his heart twice since he reverted back after AFib last week. And as I said, I know what the culprit was now. He trained on Lasix Friday and then attempted to race Monday on Lasix. That double dose of Lasix in the week. Although it doesn't always happen. I think it did happen in this case, and it did trigger and put him into AFib. And it's unfortunate, but it happens, and we took very good care of him. Gave him electrolytes after the race, made sure he was taken care of, made sure the vet was there first thing in the morning to check his heart. He had reverted back. In everything looked fine. We jogged him that day, listened to him after that day. The next day, listened to him again. There was no issues. So he'll qualify on Thursday also. Fire and Shine will qualify. Gymboree will qualify. I want to go with Grand Slam Dio, Melisandre, and Westland Warrior. So I thought that was important. I know it's 24 minutes, but honestly, I didn't do a whole lot of rambling in this video. I wanted to talk about the trainers. I want to talk about how pleased I was with the way that Hanger won Joe J. Fotag and how insightful the training mile from AC/DC was today. I want to tell you about how the sophomores trained that Jason and Eric went with. I went with, Amy went with. They all went well. Give you an update on who is exactly qualifying this week. We have 6 qualifying this week and 4 more slated for next week. So 10 horses in Ohio ready to rock in the next 14 days and a couple coming shortly behind them. I know that I'm a Trucker who's in Ontario is schooling Friday, and Country Dancing will be schooling Friday now also. And then, of course, as I said, the qualifiers, Emerald Dio, Fire and Shine, Grand Slam Dio, Gymboree, Melisandre, and Westland Warrior. And a quick little update where they're going. Admiral Dio will race here or the Meadows. Fire and Shine will race here. Grand Slam Dio is going to Ontario to race in Ontario. I just believe that she belongs there. I may or may not have been right about Rosetta. And we got Rosetta's blood back. Her white count was a little high, and her differential wasn't quite flipped, but there was notes made about it. So hopefully getting over some sort of a little virus And if she doesn't happen to race good, if we're not happy with the way she races, no problem at all. Swap them back out. Grand Slam Dio can head to Ontario, and Rosetta can come right back here. It's not a big deal. Gymboree will race here or the Meadows, one or the other, or maybe even Miami Valley. It's a possibility. One of these days, we're going to have to take a run down to Miami Valley, right? Because I told you, my one problem, if you're going to ask me, Anthony, one problem. Stake payment season, there's your problem. Two problems right now. First problem easily would be, what are we going to do with Spitfire Overseas in Ontario when they're racing the New Holland Series? Are they going to feel some sort of a trot for him to race in? I have no idea. And if they don't, now that overflows our cup here in Northfield. Now, him and Looks Like Money cannot race on a half. I'm not racing him on a half. But we have Miami Valley and the Meadows. We also have some horses that are coming up. Is Trosa going to race full-time he should be over here. Daniel doesn't mind racing him right now in Mohawk, as long as he's getting in. We'll see how that plays out. So at some point, we're going to have to take a run down to Miami Valley. And if that's the case, I suspect the way they're racing right now, Spitfire to the Meadows, Looks Like Money to Miami Valley for the week. If we have to during that. And this New Holland Series is going to trigger all of that. Drebin will be in the New Holland Series. He raced awesome last night. And that was actually the quote that James gave me. He said, Drury said he raced awesome. He drove him awesome too, quite frankly. So that's what's gone on today. This week we have a number of horses in. Tonight we have some horses in also. I gotta make sure I'm not late for my first drive. So tonight we have Cadeau, and we have Tenacious Hanover. Tomorrow we have Bluebird, Never Lose Felix. Never Lose Felix looks very good for tomorrow. Vehement, Century Legion, Yo Mister. On Thursday, we got our boy Mounds for All In. It's a snug enough class, but he's sitting on a good mile, I believe. Looks Like Money is in. He's picked to win. That's not a walkover. That's a short field on the outside of the track. It's not a walkover for Looks Like Money for sure. Tech Song Soprano later on in the evening, and Chevron's Bypass. I had a couple of people message me today and said, hey, Anthony, Chevron's Bypass, you got her in for 8? I made it very clear. Put her in where she can do. That was it. I didn't need to be more specific. I sent that message to 2 people. 1 James and 2 Dominic. And I assume they collaborated and said, this is where we should go. I had somebody else message me and said, Anthony, why did you tag Memory and Imagination on Saturday? Why wouldn't I? Him and Irresistible Sun, I mean, you still have to do good. I can tell you they're going to come back and be great. And I can tell you that they're in a funk, and I can tell you they will be good. But I got to prove it. Got to show it. Right? I'm going to sit in Missouri. Prove it. Show me. So I thought that Memory and Imagination has 1 win left in that class. 1. And it's not like he's got a cakewalk ahead of him after that. He's got 1 win left in the non-winners of 7 condition claimer. And then he has to go. There's Pete right there. And then he has to go to either Miami Valley or race back here or the Meadows. The non-winners of 5 but 8 did not fill this week. I told you, that's a tough class to fill. And it's frustrating. I just thought that was the best class for him. I'm not hiding from racing our horses. I didn't just send that note to James and Dominic. I have it put on a shirt somewhere. Put them in where they can win. And that's exactly what we plan on doing. And Memory and Imagination is no different than anybody else. So that is what took place today. That's what's going on for the rest of the week. You are completely updated now. I will talk to you all very soon. Another big update tomorrow, because tomorrow's training day for the babies. It's supposed to be a nice day here. First nice training day. Got to be careful, though. They trained a little hard on Saturday. They can't come back again hard tomorrow. So I'm going to have to give everybody a little warning when we go on the track tomorrow. Myself, too. So with that, I'll let you go. Have a wonderful rest of your night. Good luck to all my partners today, tomorrow, the rest of the week. I will talk to you all very soon.